There are as many reasons to walk the Camino as there are people who walk it.
Because I can.
At first, the patterns seem obvious. The adventurers, the grievers, the pilgrims walking in faith, seeking something sacred. The ones marking some big life transition. The ones who just always knew they'd do it someday. But the longer I walked, the more that framework fell apart. People's reasons shifted, deepened, surprising even themselves. Everyone's deeper truth surfacing somewhere down the road. By the time I reached Santiago, I'd stopped trying to find the pattern, because the Camino has this way of giving you what you need, not necessarily what you came for. This is the story of what it gave me. Back in St. John, the beginning, ready to go. It's so lovely to be back here. It's a gorgeous town. It's a beautiful day, lots to see. And what's interesting is there's two groups of people that are in this town. There's the tourists that are coming, French and Spanish mostly, and then all the pilgrims. And even of the pilgrims, it's a subset of pilgrims because it's pilgrims who are starting. So the vibe here is super excited, ready to go. And when I was here last year, I was finishing, right? Having just finished the Via Podiensis. And so while I was a pilgrim and fit in with everyone that way, I didn't have that same level of excitement and ready to go-ness. And so this year, it's interesting to be here and have my vibe be the same as everyone else who's here. Excited to be here, ready to go tomorrow. On the surface, it might look like I was returning to finish what I'd started. Just last fall, newly retired and ready for adventure, I walked the Via Podiensis from Le Puy-en-Velay all the way to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. An epic journey in its own right, but one that ends exactly where the Camino Francés begins. Looking at the map, it's the halfway point to Santiago. After walking across France, I'd stepped off the path for something I wouldn't trade: the chance to join my husband Peter on a trip to Nepal. Now I was back and ready to pick up where I'd left off, but my Camino had never felt unfinished. I didn't leave last year with regret. I came back this year simply to see what else it had in store.
My name is Julie. I'm from Korea, South Korea.
South Korea.
Okay. I came to experience the grace.
Freely received. If I were to keep it, then I need to look at what I give back to that community. And practically speaking, it ended up being this place. So I have to say thank you for deciding to stay here.
For my first few days, I'd been deliberate in choosing accommodations known for ritual and community. Places that understood the Camino's potential for transformation, named it out loud, and created space for it.
So this is your stone for Cruz del Ferro. After that, you leave your worries behind.
Absolutely spectacular send-off this morning from my gîte. A small ceremony at the beginning, just kind of reflecting on all the steps it took to get us here. And just lots of really encouraging words. It was super sentimental, which I'm totally digging right now at this point, right? As we're about to start this. Feeling really inspired and ready to go. The initial climb on the Camino Francés is infamous, and for good reason. All these excited, energetic, nervous, possibly jet-lagged pilgrims step out into the cool morning air and immediately start climbing. Steeply, relentlessly. There's no gentle shakeout over easy terrain, no easing in, just the mountain. We climb, questioning our training, our packing, all of our life choices. I felt strong though, ready. See the pilgrims zigzagging up the hill up there. The weather had other ideas. After nearly a week of almost summer warmth, the forecast was turning. My first day promised increasing clouds and fog with heavy rain or snow and freezing temperatures overnight. Promises that all came true. Incredible fog out here today. This man in front of me, to give you a sense, is about 10 meters ahead, 10 yards ahead. So I can barely see him. Can you tell what this is? It's a pair of horses, I think, and they're about 4 meters away from me. Hello, lovelies. This is the view. I'm in the parking lot of Horizon. In keeping with my intention to seek out ritual and community in the first few days, I'd chosen to stop at Horizon, less than 5 miles from Saint-Jean, but about 2,300 feet of climbing above it. Reservations there are hard to come by. I'd secured mine shortly after the bookings opened, starting my walk just days after this famed Napoleonic route opened for the season. Pretty quiet on the balcony at Horizon today because of the weather. We got a beautiful break in the clouds for at least a few minutes.
Albany, Western Australia, and the Camino is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time.
Okay, here we go. All right, bright and early out of Horizon. Lots of debate last night about how the weather was going to be. Horrendous forecast. Some talk about people taking the shuttle because the Pilgrim's office says it was going to be unsafe. But the people at Horizon think it looks just a little rainy. So I think everyone is walking today, and we'll see how it goes. Super thick fog. The challenge with such cold, wet weather was that it wasn't conducive to taking breaks. This is really the only stop we made for the whole day. A good place to take out the Reese's peanut butter cups I'd been carrying. A lightweight pack, but a full kilo of Reese's peanut butter cups. I'd brought them very specifically to share on this section and had had fun all day yesterday, passing them out to pilgrims as we trudged up the steep climb. So from the food truck, we have another kilometer of climbing and 5 kilometers of flat and 5 kilometers down. So 11 kilometers more to Roncesvalles. Maybe I can. Crossing into Spain. Not stopping along the way also meant we arrived in Roncesvalles just as they were opening, in time for a long nap, and one of the kindest gestures of my Camino. As I climbed up into my top bunk, my new friend Dawn walked by and asked if I had any laundry to include with hers. When I woke up, my clean, folded shirt was waiting for me on my bed. Everyone loading up from Roncesvalles this morning. I didn't get my camera out in time for the huge snowstorm or the huge blustery storm that just came up. It's a wet day. A wet day. I can't quite decide whether it's going to be rain or snow. But it's a fun adventure.
But you know, yeah, you would know that first day.
Uh-huh. I think this is the time where it gets a little bit tough the first time. You know, you can do your training at home, you can work on your strength, you can go for long walks, but the reality is at home you're not really able to get out there for 5 or 6 hours a day for multiple days in a row. So today, while it's not particularly difficult, I'm feeling it. Got about 3 miles or 5 kilometers to go into Zubiri. Pretty steep descent coming up ahead. I'm feeling tired. Happy, super happy to be here. Tired. Entering into Zubiri.
Our host had stacks of newspaper ready to speed the drying of our shoes. Ah, the magic of a long nap, an outstanding dinner, clean clothes, and some warm social time. The following days unfolded with all the grace of a perfect Spanish spring. One thing was striking me that I hadn't anticipated: the astonishing levels of self-disclosure happening all around me. At communal meals, people were often asked to introduce themselves and share why they were walking, but it went far beyond that. Out on the trail, often within the first 5 minutes of falling into step with someone, the real stories would surface. A parent who had just died, a failed business partnership, alcoholism, infidelity, big life-altering weights offered up to a stranger somewhere on a path in Spain. I wasn't asking. People were simply ready to be known. Yum, it's Galician pulpo and pimientos de padrón, octopus and peppers. Pamplona is a beautiful city with a wonderful cathedral, and my hotel actually gave me a good giggle. I'd been in dormitories until now, and here I had a private room. Each room in the hotel was named after a celebrity. I was hoping for Ernest Hemingway, who practically invented the modern mythology of Pamplona. Orson Welles was another dignified option. He actually is buried in Spain. Me? I was kicking back in the Dennis Rodman room. What the heck? But it was super cozy. I'd come deliberate about one thing: walking with an open heart. I stole the framing from my meditation teacher. She'd probably appreciate knowing it made it to the Pyrenees. A long Camino and a long meditation retreat turn out to have a lot in common. 2 intentions, simple on paper. Show up 100%. Surrender 100%. Nothing mystical about it. Show up means meeting the trail as it actually is, not the version I'd imagined or planned for. Surrender means letting what happens actually land. New people, unexpected moments, ideas I may have not expected.
I think just to the right of those windmills, you can see the iron figures.
Puente La Reina sits at one of the great crossroads of the medieval pilgrimage world, the place where various routes coming across Europe finally merged into one path towards Santiago. The town takes its name from a bridge built in the 11th century to help pilgrims cross the Argo River. The bridge has been carrying pilgrims across the same water for nearly 1,000 years. Ever since my first Camino, I've stopped in every church along the way. It started as a deliberate practice, a way to keep the day from collapsing into just getting to the destination. Over time, it's become one of my favorite rituals on the road. Spain, however, does not always cooperate. May I present an ongoing series, Amy Finds the Church Closed. I've also met a lot of very nice cleaning ladies.
The lady in the purple in the pew there is the cleaning lady. Classic for my time in Spanish churches.
The town of Estella was essentially built for the Camino, a town expressly established to serve the growing flood of medieval pilgrims. A 12th century pilgrim's guide described it as a place that overflows with all delights. Of the many historic sites here, I spent my time in just one, the Church of San Pedro de la Rua, which is something you don't expect on the Camino, an elevator that carries you up to the cloister. It sits perched high above the town and has watched pilgrims pass below it for nearly 1,000 years. It's early morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm having some yogurt in bed, an apple, some nuts, a little bit of water. Got an orange and a carrot there. Had a good night's sleep.
Heading out for the day from Estella. On my way out of Estella, and I've already taken a wrong turn. Cities are always the hardest. It doesn't seem like it should be, but there's lots of paths going lots of directions for people who live in cities, whereas in towns or small villages, the Camino is a pretty obvious place. So in bigger cities, you have to make sure that you're staying on the right route, which is exactly what I didn't do. So I think I'm cutting through the grocery store parking lot, hoping to get back on track. Had a lovely interaction with the man on the left here. He's from Italy, and we were comparing notes, trying to figure out where the turns were in this city. Exchanged names and where we're from. He said his wife's name is Amy, so that was sweet. Short for Emiliana in Italian, apparently. Second breakfast. Hi, sweet pop. Gracias.
Thank you.
Just outside Estella is one of the Camino's most beloved stops, the Irachi wine fountain. It sits beside a Benedictine monastery that sheltered and fed pilgrims for nearly 1,000 years. The tradition of hospitality at least lives on. The Bodega's Irachi Winery offers free wine to passing pilgrims. 2 taps, 1 water, 1 red wine. I arrived just after 8 in the morning, just after second breakfast, had a sip, and decided that was probably enough for me.
Cheers! This type of pruning all throughout northern Spain. It's super interesting before the trees have leaves. After the whirlwind of those first few days through Pamplona, where I made a point of choosing dorms, places with community dinners, places with community breakfasts, I'm now kind of out of that city and had a lot more alone time. They're both fantastic. I'm so glad I had that social time. But it's also good to spend this time by myself because it allows me to kind of see what's going on internally. To be honest, what's going on is I'm just so happy and so grateful. There's just this joy that erupts from this day-to-day walking. So it hides a little bit. You can't see it quite so clearly when you're walking down the trail chattering. So it's lovely to be with it by myself and just sit in this joy and happiness as I walk through the countryside. Just had a really fun interaction with a Japanese gentleman. There's lots and lots of Koreans out here, but I haven't seen any other Japanese men. And he's been talking to the Koreans on the trail, but every once in a while I've heard him say something in Japanese. So when I caught up to him, I said, "Nihonjin desu ka?" Which will always surprise a Japanese person if you ask them in Japanese if they're Japanese. Anyway, we had a lovely conversation and I exhausted my Japanese, which is Nihon de sundemashita 1年ぐらい。でも今全然わかりません。英語の先生でした。93から94まで。Which means I lived in Japan for a year, but right now I don't remember how to speak anything. And I lived in Japan as an English teacher from 93 to 94. So it's always funny to watch Japanese people's face light up when I stumble along in funny Japanese. It was fun. My new friend Shuichi from Japan.
Hi, I'm Shuichi from Japan. I'm west of Japan, Okayama City. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Looking down at Torres del Rio from Sansol. Okay, this is really funny. I'm walking around town because I'm so hungry. And I'm in this tiny town, the village of Sansol. There's no shops or anything. And the small bar, restaurant, or market, if it's even that, is closed because it's siesta time. So I found a vending machine outside the pharmacy, which seems promising, right? Until you find out the vending machine is all things for pilgrims. Sunscreen, medicines, and a ton of blister care and kinesiology tape here. But no snacks for me. As I was on my way back to my hotel, ready to give up, a shop that had not been open when I first came by was open on my way back. I've been looking for a sandwich, but in a pinch, what do we have here? Chocolate cake and grape juice. That'll work. Palacio de Sansol, where I'm staying tonight.
And this palace used to be a mill. And when
Alright, this is a little strange video, but I wanted to capture this. My room has a specific room for the toilet. And so I'm backed in here. Now you can see the toilet behind me, right? My legs now are against the toilet. The front of my body is against the wall. It's so tiny. My knees don't quite hit the wall when I use the toilet, but it's pretty close. Gorgeous morning. Looking out from Sansol to Torres del Rio in the early morning sun.
Arriving in Logroño, I decided it was time to take my eating more seriously. Hiker hunger has a way of sneaking up on you, and after 8 days on the trail, I'd learned I needed to be more deliberate about keeping calories within reach.
We're gonna see if I can solve this hunger problem. We've got ham, bread, cream cheese to spread on that, a high protein pudding, blueberries, prunes, meat sticks, 4 apples, chocolate bar, and cashews. I think that should help me out for the next couple days. What do you think?
I stayed at a donativo in Logroño, my first of several on this journey and one of my favorite types of accommodation on the Camino. Donativos run entirely on donations and goodwill. There's no fixed price, you give what you can. They're staffed by volunteer hospitaleros who have walked the Camino themselves and have now come back to serve, donating 2 weeks of their time to cook, clean, and care for pilgrims. What that creates is something you can feel the moment you walk in the door. These aren't just places to sleep. They're communities held together by strangers who chose to show up for each other.
Drying laundry in the back of the church outside the donativo. Way to go, Logroño, making it easy to find the path out of here.
I don't tend to pre-plan rest days, and reflecting on that maybe I should. Resting before exhaustion sets in is smarter than recovering from it. But tiredness on the Camino is slippery. My body is always tired at the end of the day, a bit sore by afternoon. And then somehow, most mornings, I'm fine again.
Got a coffee con leche right here.
The trick is learning to tell the difference between the tiredness that sleep fixes and the kind that's telling me something deeper. In Logroño, a surplus of negative thinking was a signal. Moods are a passing thing, and on long, quiet days, they're often more noticeable than usual. But for me, a darker mental cast is often the first sign of real fatigue, arriving before my body has fully registered it. The 20 kilometers from Logroño to Ventosa, a distance that should have felt routine by now, had felt harder than it should have. Another sign. Ventosa gave me a small comedy of errors. I arrived at a restaurant knowing I was pushing siesta hours, but asking in my halting Spanish whether they were open. They were. I sat down, ordered a drink, studied the menu, and when they returned, I asked for the menu del dia. Surprised looks. It wasn't available. Was food being served? This question set off a small internal consultation, someone checking with someone else. Because being open, I was reminded, does not necessarily mean serving food. It's a small window into what it must be like to deal with pilgrims, us showing up at hours every Spaniard would immediately recognize as mealtime is over, and yet being met almost always with patience and generosity. After some gracious back and forth, though, I found myself eating a lovely paella.
One of those wonderful Camino moments this morning. I had a hard day yesterday, kind of just struggled. And this morning when I got up, I woke up really early. I've been waking up around 5. And so I had pre-packed my bag last night, expecting that I was just going to grab it and head out the door really early. And when I woke up, one of the other women in my dorm room was up at the same time. And she said, "Do you want to walk together?" And it was wonderful. She was super chatty, and that's exactly what I needed. Really positive. We just busted out about 10 kilometers by the time the sun came up. It was a really great morning, and it kind of reset my thinking on the trail this morning.
Brill became one of my closest friends on this Camino. Even when he didn't walk together, we'd check in, a message here and there to see how each other's day had gone. That kind of friendship forms fast. You share enough miles and silence, and something real takes hold.
It's me and all the old men in the city park. I don't know if you can see them here. Maybe some down that way. Anyway, I got myself some giant coffee con leche because I'm both thirsty and likes the caffeine.
Santo Domingo de la Calzada is another of the Camino's great medieval towns, built around its cathedral, which has been a place of rest and refuge for pilgrims since the 11th century. The cathedral is remarkable, and it holds one of the most surprising traditions in all of Christendom. Yes, that's a rooster inside the cathedral, and he has been there in one form or another for centuries. A live rooster and a hen, kept in an ornate Gothic coop built in the cathedral wall. The legend goes that a young German pilgrim passing through town was falsely accused of theft and hanged. His heartbroken parents continued on to Santiago, and when they returned, found their son still alive on the gallows. They rushed to the local magistrate, who was sitting down to dinner, and announced the miracle. He looked up from his roasted chicken and declared that their son was no more alive than the bird on his plate, at which point the rooster stood up and crowed. The chicken, as it turned out, had the last word. I decided to take a rest day here and splashed out a bit to do it in style at a parador. Paradors are a network of Spanish state-run hotels housed in historic buildings, castles, monasteries, convents. This one occupies a 16th century monastery. Gorgeous.
I have a very nice room at this parador, but mostly I'm here to take a hot bath. Oh, doesn't that look great? It is a true rest day. Spent time in the bathtub, spent time in bed, had a long time at the breakfast buffet at the hotel this morning, and now it's time for menu del dia. So I'm out on the town midday. I've got a mushroom stuffed crepe here, and just really enjoying relaxing. Getting a little bit of planning, looking ahead for the coming days, figuring out where I want to stay and how I can get that all to work together. But mostly just resting my body. I'll probably do a few yoga routines this afternoon. I'm just really enjoying my day off. Last night I slept for 9.5 hours. That's the second night staying there. I slept 8 hours the first night, but 9.5 hours the second day. So there's something to that deep tiredness. To add to that, I'm just going about 6 kilometers today. That's 3.5-ish miles, because there's a donativo there that I've heard really wonderful things about. So there's that tradition to think about the Camino in 3 different parts. The first third is the body, second third is the mind, and the final third is about the spirit. So we're still in the body part, which might seem counterintuitive, because in the beginning, that difficult climb over the Pyrenees, everyone was like, wow, yeah, I did that. And you get this confidence. But what's interesting about these long pilgrimage walks is that the body part is not just about doing one hard thing. It's about doing a little bit day after day after day. And I keep talking to people on my breaks today who are hurting, and they're trying to figure out how to manage their pack weight, manage their distances in order to relieve some of the pain in their body. So there's lessons about the body even 2 weeks into the trip.
The donativo in Gragnon was everything I love about this kind of place, and then some. The usual arrival routine, check in, do laundry. But this donativo is housed inside the church itself, so hanging wet clothes on the exterior was obviously not an option. Instead, the community had strung clotheslines 2 blocks away, behind the school. A small but telling detail about how the entire village organizes itself around the pilgrims passing through. While my laundry dried, I did some yoga, which turned out to be good timing. My clothes were dry just as I finished. Everyone who'd left things on the line a little longer got caught out when the rain and hail moved through during the pilgrim mass. The evening unfolded the way the best donativo evenings do, with some friends I hadn't seen since Zubiri. Cooking together, eating together, cleaning up together. These places don't just house pilgrims, they remind you what the Camino is actually about.
quiet morning on the streets of Burgos today, leaving just after 6 in the morning. The forecast is for rain for the first few hours. I'm pretty much the only one on the streets, except for maybe a few students. I see a scooter coming up ahead here, but watching the town come to life as I walk on my way out of town. And now we're kind of in the countryside outside of Burgos, so a much easier exit from the city than entering. Can you hear all the birds? It's gorgeous. Poncho's been coming on and off and on and off, but now it's going to be a period of poncho on. Everyone's kind of pulling to the side and suiting up. It's raining. Little breakfast in the pouring rain. Love the street art.
At Ermita de Nuestra Señora del Monasterio, pilgrims were gathering in a way that made me take notice. By this point, my church visits had evolved into sitting quietly in each one for a few minutes. Usually I was alone. This church had a nun offering a personal blessing to each pilgrim, unhurried, deeply felt. Most people left with tears in their eyes.
Esta peregrina eres tú, y esta es la Virgencita para que la peregrina en el camino te acompañe, te proteja y te bendiga.
I wore that charm on a string for the rest of my Camino. I was now entering the Meseta, a vast high plateau that forms the breadbasket of Spain. Rolling fields as far as the eye can see, wide open skies, and long stretches with no trees and no shade. Most pilgrims have an opinion about the Meseta before they set foot on it. Some dread it, some skip it entirely. Others speak about it the way they speak about other things that have changed them.
Long ago, when I was a runner, there was this tree near my house that I called the impossible tree, because every time I would pass it, I would stop and take a photo. Because while it was a simple scene, the leaves could be different, the clouds could be different, the sky could be different, and the field underneath could be different. And I called it my impossible tree, because I found it impossible to pass without taking a photo. What a delight that the Meseta has its own impossible tree. Oh, enjoying the beauty of the Meseta. It's incredible how many different colors of green there can be. It's a bit of a bed race today, which can happen if you're in a place that doesn't take reservations or has limited accommodation. And there's a place where I want to stay, some ruins. Look really cool, a little rustic, but they only have 12 beds. No idea how many people will be trying for it because it is so rustic. Rather than just stopping and enjoying the view along the way, I've been trying to be one of the first 12 to this destination. Wish me luck. First view of San Anton. That's where I'm hoping to stay tonight. What do you think? Will there be a spot for me? So I made it. I ended up being the fourth person here, so that was, I may even had a little time to spare. There's 12 beds here, but it's an absolutely iconic ruin. So the ruins of Saint Anton, the changing light, the changing colors, the bird song all around, it is gorgeous. So happy that I got the chance to be here.
San Anton, founded in 1146, served for centuries as a hospital for pilgrims, run by monks who cared for the sick and weary passing through. The monastery eventually fell into ruin and for many years served as a barnyard. Today, this small donativo is tucked inside the remaining stone arches, 12 beds, no electricity, no Wi-Fi, and a candlelight breakfast. Occasionally, pilgrims sleep outside under the open sky. The Camino path itself passes directly through the old archway. The two Toiletaries volunteering while I was there embodied exactly that spirit, warm, generous, and endlessly present for everyone who passed through.
Your presence fills us with joy. So thank you for stopping at San Antonio.
The afternoon and evening unfolded in a lovely Camino way. Dinner with people I'd been crossing paths with for weeks. Conversations that wandered from warm to funny to meaningful and profound. As I was climbing into my bunk, my neighbor Victor, a fellow pilgrim and a priest, turned to me and said, "Amy, it was really nice talking to you. I'm glad you exist." I love the Camino so much.
I'm leaving my donativo, another donativo on the Meseta last night, with my heart just absolutely bursting. A really heartfelt stay with people who are sincere in their exploration out here, and sincere in accepting kindness and giving kindness. The older Italian man who opened the donativo last night, we were the first pilgrims of the year, and they were supposed to open May 1st, but he was like, "Oh, what the heck, I'm here, I think I'll open it." So there were 7 of us there, and just had a lovely evening. They're famous for foot washing in the Christian pilgrim tradition, and so this Italian man went around and gave us each a little prayer and washed our feet, and that was just the beginning of a really heartfelt and sweet and lovely evening. Been doing some reflection into the nuance of the rules about what's cheating in life, what's cheating on the Camino. When this young man last night said that he wouldn't take a bus, he wouldn't send on his bag, he won't use a cell phone for navigation or information because that's cheating on the Camino. They also just started 2 days ago, so they're really new at it. And everyone around the table just was really kind and smiled. I'm thinking about how many rules we have like that in life, that we decide that this is the career we're supposed to have. This is the car, the job, the success, the house, the body, the physical capabilities, whatever. These are the ones that we're supposed to be having. And then when we don't measure up, that we're the ones that are falling short. But just how utterly arbitrary and nonsensical each of these rules are. It just felt so obvious last night. But I have it in my own way, right? What's supposed to be versus what I'm doing. It was a lovely, lovely lesson, and I'm grateful to him for letting me see it through those eyes.
When I told my husband about the conversation later, he laughed with the easy confidence of someone who loves me and knows me well. Of course that had an impact on you, he said. That's one of your great struggles, believing there are rules. He wasn't wrong. Because even as I'd sincerely told other pilgrims more than once that there was no wrong way to walk the Camino, that buses and taxis and luggage transfers were all perfectly valid choices if that's what they needed, I was wrestling with my own version of the same trap. I had 34 days. I'd been choosing depth over distance, stopping at places that felt meaningful rather than grinding out the miles. And the math wasn't going to work. I wasn't going to be able to walk every step. The conversation with that young man clarified my choice. The stages immediately before and after Leon, I was going to skip them. I knew it was the right call, and still I struggled with it. The FOMO was real. The feeling that I was somehow doing it wrong was real, even as I recognized it as exactly the kind of arbitrary rule I'd just been reflecting on. The Camino has a way of showing you yourself, sometimes with great tenderness, sometimes with a hint of irony. The Leon Cathedral was a perfect place to consider all this.
Okay, this has to be a little reactionary to eating at restaurants and people cooking for me. I have carrots, tiramisu little pudding cups, cheese spread, big basket of strawberries, yogurt, a few random oranges, milk to go with some muesli, prepared pasta tuna salad, a prepared New Yorker salad, mostly greens, last orange, and some pineapple juice. I am going to relax in this apartment and enjoy. Well, it's nice to have a kitchen. It's not exactly, stocked with everything. So I'm eating my cereal from a saucepan and my pineapple juice from a wine glass. One of the never discussed benefits of taking an absolute zero movement rest day is that you can do your laundry in the morning. Normally you arrive and then you have to do your laundry right away in order to get it dry for the next morning. But when you do zero, you can just leave it all be for that evening. Relax, rest, eat, and in the morning when you feel rested, do your laundry and it'll have all day to dry. What a joy. What would they have at Taste of America? Reese's, Cheerios, Lucky Charms, cookies, Werther's. Most interesting though is check this out. Rogue Dead Guy Pale Ale, a fabulous Oregon microbrewery. Amazing, all the way in Leon, Spain. I got all ready to head out early, and I knew that rain was in the forecast, but somehow I forgot that until I opened the front door of my place and was like, oh, let's dig out the poncho. So it looks like it's going to be a poncho morning for sure. arriving in Rabanal del Camino. Today was hard. You'd think after a rest day, after all that good food, it would have gotten easier. But for whatever reason, today was hard.
Misertes est Dominus dimentibus si.
Misty, thick fog this morning. Today is Cruz de Ferro Day. I'm carrying the stone that the Hospitalero gave me at my first night in Saint-Jean.
This is your stone for Cruz del Ferro. Leave your worries behind.
At the time, and in fact the whole way, I've been carrying what's supposed to represent this burden that I want to lay down. And I looked, because I love the ritual and the symbolism of it all, but I really didn't have one that I wanted to set down. So last night I had dinner with this lovely couple, and there was something distinctive about them. I can't say everything because some of this is private, not just my own story. So I'm walking along this trail this morning, and this enormous burden that I've been carrying for years came up. So my stone now has a meaning. It's a burden I'm ready to drop. So often the joys of the Camino can be so simple. There's thunderstorms in the forecast today with heavy, heavy rain. So when I wake up and I get to start and there's blue skies, that's a good sign. So we'll see how far in my day I can make it. It's supposed to be later this morning or early this afternoon. Wish me luck that I can arrive kind of dry. I'm not a very fussy eater, and I love the cultural meanings of food. So when I find a restaurant that's open and has some sort of regional dish or things that are really local, I'll almost always stop. Or if I see something like that on the menu. And if you add to it, it's a hangout place for all the old men of town. I am so there. It was a delightful churro stop. Laundry and pilgrims go together. For sale. Who's ready to move to Spain? Okay, you'll see the progress on the plane trees. Like remember early in Pamplona where they didn't have any leaves on them? and they're starting to leaf out a little bit 3 weeks later. It's the Municipal Albergue in Cacabelos. I didn't stay there myself, but wow, what an opportunity. It looks gorgeous. They have vending machines, a little mini market not open yet, all kinds of chairs for resting. From the looks of it, cherry season could even start while I'm still here. 220 kilometers, that's by road. I don't know what it is, but roses seem to absolutely love this climate. They are everywhere. Look at these luscious peonies. Gorgeous. Someone's playing games with us. They say it's 894 kilometers to Santiago. Wouldn't that be a surprise at this point? Remember the grape plants earlier in the trip? How they were just the stubs, little blossoms of leaves? Big shift in a couple weeks. All right, I'm ready to certainly call this a mango. I saw these yesterday, but the trees were so small. I'd never seen such small ones. But these are much bigger and look more like traditional mango trees. Yum. Another house for sale. This might be a little more than I'm up to. What's particularly interesting is the sign here. It's not being used now, but it's a sign of funeral announcements for the area. Homemade honey for sale. Hey there, pretty boy. You're so pretty. So there's a choice right here. The traditional Camino goes left, and an alternate goes to the right and avoids some of the road walking. It's a little longer. I'm going to the right. Okay, what's going on this morning is that I'm ready to move to Spain. And not at some distant point in the future, but right now. I think I'll just buy a house in Cacabelos. Never mind this old Camino thing. I can call my husband. He might be a little surprised, but I'll tell him to pack up because I found a place that has olive trees, fig trees, cherry trees, what else? Mango trees, grapes, and a giant garden. I think he'd be fine with that. One can dream, right?
I arrived at my accommodation well ahead of check-in, which left me time to explore. The village was small and largely quiet, the kind of place that feels like time stopped somewhere in 1870 and nobody minded. I found the church, locked naturally. How about an update on that series? Anyway, this one had small benches just inside the metal gate at the front, and the gate was open, so I let myself in, sat down, and enjoyed the stillness. Quiet and restful, exactly what I needed. When it was time to go, I picked up my things, walked back to the gate, and pushed. Locked, which made no sense. I had walked through it not 30 minutes earlier. No one had passed by, no one had come to lock it. I reached through the bars to try the handle from the outside. Also locked. I walked around the entire church looking for another way out. There wasn't one. Now, I want to be clear that I'm always conscious of being a guest in this country, that my behavior reflects on me, on my fellow pilgrims, and on Americans abroad, a group that does not necessarily need additional reputational challenges. It is with that full sense of responsibility that I describe what happened next. The fence was climbable, and so, with my full backpack and my scallop shell, the ancient symbol of my sacred pilgrimage, I threw a leg over the metal bars. Not graceful. And the quiet side street that had been almost entirely empty during my peaceful rest was, at that exact moment my first leg cleared the fence, suddenly full of witnesses. And that predicted thunderstorm? It did materialize, but only after I was checked in and comfortable in my albergue.
Oh, it was another magical Donativo experience on the Camino. It was just me with one other guest, and she's not from Spain, but she speaks fluent Spanish, and that was the language that we could speak best together, even though my Spanish is terrible. Anyway, it turns out this woman has been doing this in memory of her son who died a few years ago. And incredibly heartfelt stories and just deeply touching moments. And it was made possible by the couple that was running the place. It was just a private one. It wasn't run by a religious order or anything like that. It was just a couple who believes in the spirit of the Camino and the spirit of Donativos. So they run their albergue that way. Just a really magical and special night. So grateful for it. Leaving Villafranca del Bierzo.
In all those weeks of sitting quietly in churches, something kept returning to me. A hymn from my childhood. At first, just a fragment, the words, "And I will give you rest." That was all I could recover. But as the days passed, walking and resting, more lines surfaced. "Be not afraid, I go before you always. Come follow me, and I will give you rest." More than once, a pilgrim had slipped into a church where I sat unnoticed. Assuming they were alone, they quietly sang something. There's something about those spaces that draws that out of people. I decided to try it myself.
Be not afraid, I go before you always. Come follow me, and I will give you rest.
Even the birds wanted to sing in church. Last year in France, I crossed paths several times with a woman named Elsa. We'd stayed in some of the same gîtes where we were the only English speakers, so we'd shared a few dinners. The last time I'd seen her, we'd gone together to listen to singing nuns in a cathedral. That evening, she couldn't join me for dinner. Her accommodation included a meal. So we exchanged contact information just in case. We never did meet up again. She walks much faster than I do. A few weeks ago, out here on the Camino Francés, I fell into conversation with a woman on the trail. I mentioned I'd walked the Via Podiensis the previous year, and she said she'd recently met a Norwegian woman who'd done the same route. I said, was her name Elsa? To her complete amazement, it was. I messaged Elsa that same day. Impossibly, we were both out here. We kept in touch as we walked, and eventually figured out we could be in the same town just before O Sobrero. We made a plan.
Super clever taxi parking at the bottom of a big climb. Today is the climb up to O Sobrero, one of the two famous climbs on the route. The first one is the climb over the Pyrenees in the beginning, and this one is shorter, but it's really steep. So just now starting to climb. It's about a 4-mile-ish climb of steepness. I'm staying at about the 3.5-mile point in the climb, and then I'll finish the climb in the morning. Just had a massive sandwich, which surprisingly went down really easily. So I'm fueled and ready and starting to climb.
When we met, Elsa told me something that stopped me. She said it was remarkable that I had her contact information. She'd only given it to 5 people the year before. She hadn't been antisocial, but she hadn't told anyone why she was walking. She'd needed the time in France to herself to process the grief of losing a close friend. The walk had been private, internal, solitary by design. As she was talking, I sat stunned. because the last time I had seen Elsa, the evening of the singing nuns, the moment we said goodbye, I had walked back to my gîte and received the news that my mother had died. There are things I should explain. My mother was a complicated person. She had been diagnosed with cancer, and she had chosen to keep it entirely to herself. She made all her own arrangements, handled everything quietly and on her own terms, and arranged things so that my sisters and I would only find out after she was gone. By the time we heard, she had already been cremated. Her belongings had already been taken care of. There was nothing to fly home to manage. She had, in her way, taken care of everything, including sparing us, or perhaps protecting herself from the vigil and the goodbye. I had spent the rest of that walk in France carrying that, and the months since then processing it with friends, with family, at length. By most measures, I thought I had moved through the worst of it.
All the pilgrims bandage this pilgrim statue foot. Classic look on a rainy day, ponchos outside the bar.
Now here was Elsa telling me her story, and it would have been the most natural thing in the world to say, I understand. I processed a profound loss too, on that same walk, on those same paths. I prepared the words in my head the way you do before I said them, and I knew immediately that I couldn't. Not without dissolving into sobs, the racking, incoherent kind that would have made it impossible to speak. That surprised me completely. It had been 6 months. I had done the work. I had sat with that grief, and yet here on a trail in Spain, the grief was as raw and as present as it ever had been. I never told Elsa. I said goodbye, walked on, and spent the days looking at what that meant. The grief wasn't finished with me, and the Camino, true to everything I'd said in the opening days about what it gives you versus what you came for, wasn't finished with me either. Those words, my mother died, I never did say them out loud to anyone on the Camino. I still couldn't.
The sun is a crown on the endless sky. We whisper secrets as I pass by. Steps like prayers, one by one. Morning light and the day's begun. Walking the path of hope. Stories in the hills unfold. Every mile, a piece of my soul. Walking the path of gold. The journey's voice is loud and clear. Walking the path of gold. Stories in the hills unfold. Every mile, a piece of my soul. Walking the path of gold. Grateful for the dust, the stone. steps echo old and true, each goodbye a kind of
A pretty quick exit from Sarria this morning. A little bit of the traditional, slightly industrial walking through the city on the entrance, but wow, departing Sarria, you're in the countryside almost immediately. And it is a gorgeous day. Really lucky. Beautiful, beautiful blue skies. It's an absolutely gorgeous forest and a terrific trail. This is after Ferreros. I've been walking for maybe an hour. Everyone says this section is supposed to be super crowded. And this is important to notice. I've been walking for about an hour. I went up almost 3 miles. And these are the first 2 people I've seen on the trail all day. I've learned to differentiate different kinds of rainy days. There's the poncho on and off kind of day. Had plenty of those. That means it just drizzles a little bit here and there, but you never quite need to commit to having the poncho on. Then there's the poncho on all day, just because it's so intermittent. And then is the shoe-drenching rainy day. This is going to be, it's raining heavily enough, you keep your poncho on all day, and the water runs down your poncho, and then it hits your pants or your legs, and the water runs into your shoes. And by the end of the day, your shoes and socks are soaked. Today's that kind of day. It is such a perfect morning. Cool temperatures, blue skies with big fluffy clouds. There is rain in the forecast, potentially thunderstorms this afternoon, but for now it is perfect walking weather. I have a cold. It sounds so minor, but boy oh boy, I didn't sleep well last night. My face and my sinuses are all stuffed up. My legs just do not feel strong today. I think there's a little bit of a fever, super mild. I keep breaking into this little sweat. So it's just interesting that, you can get into this routine and then new challenges arise. So I'm just plugging on through it, paying attention. Plugging on. Eucalyptus forest. I think it's been 10 days since I've had a Napolitano chocolate. Not sure how that has happened. $69.467. Adorable room. The good news about this heavy rain is that I'm taking this video from inside of my room, but it's pouring rain. I really appreciate how the weather gods are letting us walk for a long time in the morning and then sending the rain in the evening. Drying clothes on the heater when there's no sunshine. All right, I think I'll count this as day 3 of the Camino with a cold. It's now settled into my lungs. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. I did sleep really well last night, so that was a good thing. I stopped at the pharmacy in Palas de Rey and got some medicine, so that really helped. I was feverish most of the day yesterday. The medicine seems to keep that at bay. Yesterday was so low energy, but it was kind of interesting to see that my legs just continued to do it, even though they felt so heavy. You just kind of put them on the path and they just start going. So I guess there's a way to do it even if you're not feeling great. Today, however, I'm taking the bus. There has to be some sort of compromise here. With it in my lungs like this, I've still got 3 more days of walking. It just seems like the smart thing to do to not beat up on myself too much. So, and then the other thing is I made changes to my reservations up ahead so that I'm not sleeping in any dorms so I don't get anyone else sick. Lots of good beverages. Juice and Aquarius. That'll heal me quickly, right? And they got a stamp at the cafe. Okay, that was great. Shortened the walking day just a little bit, and now we've got beautiful weather. The forecast has been so crazy lately. There's thunderstorms in the forecast every day, and we've gotten so lucky that most of the days that doesn't happen until after we've stopped. Gorgeous. It's an absolutely loaded lemon tree. Good morning. Oh, I'm feeling so much better today. Sleep really is the magic trick. After a 3-hour nap yesterday afternoon, I still slept for almost 9 hours last night. Feeling myself. I still have a cough. It's a productive cough, so it feels like it's doing something. Fever's gone. I might be a little sweaty because I just chugged up a hill, but I felt good and strong. Chugged up at passing people, so I should probably calm down and continue to take good care of myself. But I'm feeling so much better today. So that's a great way to be walking in on these last 2 days before Santiago. I'm walking through eucalyptus forest this morning. I've walked through them for the past few days, and I can smell it this morning too. So that's another great sign. Happy to be out here. What so often happens to me on this walk, I get such an absolute high out here. It usually kicks in after a few miles. There is just this effervescent joy in going about the walking, and I'm experiencing that now. Just so happy So grateful to be here. Just so in love with every aspect of what this walk is for me. And it is such an absolute blessing to be able to move out here through everything that is the Camino de Santiago. So incredibly happy. If you're not sure about trekking poles, one other thing is they do make a pretty good clothesline. Okay, this is it. Absolutely gorgeous morning. Here we go.
34 days, and now suddenly here. I'd set out with two intentions: show up 100%, surrender 100%. I hadn't known what exactly I'd be showing up for, or what I'd be asked to surrender to. Perhaps the Camino always did.
Good morning, you beauties. Good morning.
My poles had been worn down to almost nothing. My shoes, too. We all were, it seemed, running on whatever was left. I walked in with Claudia. As always, the Camino has a way of putting the right person beside you at the right moment. Just walking in the quiet joy that it brings and the knowledge that this journey was ending. There were so many emotions walking into Santiago. The beauty of the route, the incredible kindness of strangers, the silliness and the laughter, and underneath it all, the slow, patient work of grief finding its way through.
Oh, this song can make me cry on any day.
I was like, this is not
What did I feel walking into Santiago? Everything. All of it. At once.